You're listening to Sarah Talk. It's political.
You could run a fucking pet rock against Donald Trump, and I would vote for the pet rock.
Yeah.
That's where we're at right
Yeah.
Critical.
One of the things that drives me nuts as an atheist is that my polling location is at a church. And I don't necessarily have a problem. I'm not going to like burst into flames walking into a church.
Now, after being on this show and having heard your viewpoints on some things, my advice to you is don't test this, I won't burst into flames.
And positively LGBT positive.
In many states, you can still be evicted from housing simply for being gay or transgender. Stand and fight with us.
Oh, and occasionally completely absurd.
I don't know if you've ever seen a lightning bug, but he flies around with a flame of light coming out of his behind. The lightning bug got a flame coming out of his butt.
It's a beautiful night tonight. All the sodomites are out.
And now, from Orlando, Florida, your host, Sarah Austin.
Lord almighty, it's hot in here.
Hell hath come to our home.
Oh my God. So our air conditioner is out, and it's really kind of hot in here. And it's hot as in the studio as usual. Like, it's always hot.
Yeah.
But this is like end of the show hot, I think.
I think it's worse than end of the show because at least there's some air that comes into this room.
Yeah.
It might not be like the best quality air or temperature, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm too hot to think.
So if the sound is a little fuzzy tonight, that's because we have a fan going. We're testing out a new camera placement, and
Hi, I'm over here now.
we've got we have to sit next to each other now. So
So we had to wear extra
we'll see.
deodorant because of the sweat factor.
We'll see how this works out. We've got a fancy little ticker on the bottom now. We've got the chat pops right up on the screen. Let us know what you guys think of that. If that's if you like that, if it's useful. We know there is a grotesque delay between when I say a thing and you see it on Facebook. And we learned earlier, and we were testing, if you're watching on a phone, it's even slower. It's even more of a delay than if you're watching on the computer. But anyway, let us know if you like having the chat up
And
there.
if Sarah gets lost, it's because the computer that is looking at us
Yes.
is in real time,
Yes.
and her computer and my phone are in delay time. So it's really going to be
crazy.
a little
And-
weird to get used to.
And we have some guests on with us tonight. So if I'm looking off camera, it's because I'm talking to them. I'm not like just turning my back
Yeah,
to
we
Becca.
can. We actually can see them. They're there. She's not just staring off into.
All right, so let's dig right into it. Tonight we're going to talk about Collage. That's a national nonprofit by and for youth with one or more LGBTQ parent or caregiver. We're joined tonight by Kaylee Fry and Heather Bryant. Thank you both for giving us your time and coming on the show tonight.
Thank you so much for having us.
Hi, Sarah. Thanks.
Absolutely, our pleasure. So let's dive into this. You were kind enough to send along a lot of information, and I want to kind of break down some language and some terms. But first, you guys have a whole language that I didn't even know about, and so that's very interesting. But first, why don't you kind of share a little bit about yourselves, self-identify, and if there are terms along the way that you want to break in and define, we can do that as we go, and then if I have questions about other ones, I'll come back and go through that list. So whoever wants to start.
Wonderful. I'm happy to start.
I'll jump in. I'm Heather Bryant. Okay. Yeah. Okay. And I'm a writer, teacher, and advocate for the LGBTQ community through the amazing work of Collage. I've been involved in Collage since 2010, but I have identified as someone with a trans parent since I was 11 years old in 1988. So just a couple of years before Collage founded, and it took me a long time to find the organization, but I'm so glad that I did.
Awesome. Kaylee?
Yes. Yes, my name is Kaylee. I am the National Program Director for Collage. In our bias inform us model, I also have an LGBTQ parent. So I have two lesbian moms. I was adopted from Lima, Peru when I was about 6 months old, brought to America. And yeah, they raised me in Charlotte, North Carolina. So that's where I currently live. And I came out in my late 20s as a second generation queer spawn, meaning that I'm queer, my parents are queer, so long line of queers. I actually know someone in our community that's fourth gen, which is really awesome.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. I don't come from that long of a line of queers, but I am proud of my queer heritage. And then I also identify as genderqueer.
Awesome. So, so some other words that that we may not have come through. Dibbling. What is dibbling?
Yeah, a dibbling. Actually, I just learned this one this past December at Creating Change. So the beautiful thing about our language is that there's not really a language for us, so we manually create things. And so this was added by someone who has dibblings, meaning that we have donor siblings. So other people that whose parents use the same donor. So
Oh,
they're
cool.
donor siblings.
Oh, that's neat. Yeah.
That is cool.
I like that. What about bothy? Am I saying that right?
Yes, you're
Okay.
saying that right.
Okay.
So a bothie is someone who, it's many different forms, but basically to break it down, is someone who has multiple sets of parents that are queer. So for example, if someone has a biological like mom and a biological dad, and then at one point in their life, their mom comes out as queer, and then their dad also comes out as queer. That's a bothie.
Okay.
But also bothies can be different sets of queer parents coming together to create children.
Okay, that makes sense. What about PTP?
I'll do that one. So that's a person with a trans parent, also sometimes known as KOT, kids of trans or trans spawn. So someone with one or more trans parent or caregiver.
Cool. So our kids. So one of the other words that that we've used a few times tonight, and I wanted to bring this up. So queer spawn or trans spawn. We did an interview with Frank Lowe. Are you guys familiar with Frank? Frank is the author of Raised by Unicorns, and it is an anthology of stories that are written by folks who have queer parents, right? And it was a really great book. Very heavy on my parents are lesbians, and so he is looking to come back and kind of update this and like do another version of it with a little bit more diversity. So I noticed you did have a contact on the website for like submitting books and things, so I'm gonna do that. But one of the things that we talked about when we talked to Frank was the term queer spawn, and that some of the people in the book kind of like what they when they were trying to come up with titles and they were self-identifying, they called themselves rainbow kids. Wasn't that what it was? Rainbow kids?
Rainbow.
Unicorn
Yeah,
kids.
unicorn kids. It was
Unicorn
unicorn
kids. Yeah, unicorn kids. So I thought that was cool too. That was a different one. But yeah, I'll get you guys in touch with Frank. He was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, we actually have been in touch with Frank.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting story. Yeah, I mean Frank created that book, and there's also another one. I don't know if you've seen the book. Spawning Generations. So that one is amazing. It's a different framework. It's more of the bias and for us model, whereas Frank isn't someone with an LGBTQ parent.
Right.
So it's a different framework, and Spawning Generations is amazing.
Cool. I'll check that one out too. So talk about. Sorry, go ahead.
One other book, Out of the Ordinary, which was edited by Noel Howie, and that's another great. It's an anthology of stories as well by queer spawn.
Awesome. Yeah, I will check those out. So let's talk about Collage as an organization. How did this get started?
Yeah, so I love our upbringing. Basically, it was about actually almost 30 years ago. It was in 1990, 1990, and it was actually a bunch of youth and young adults that came together, and they were continually brought together by their parents who were LGBTQ, and the parents had dinners and a lot of different conferences and things like that. And the kids were like, we're sick of sitting in the halls. We're sick of just sitting to the side while they connect. And we need something that's for us and by us, because it's really different when queer parents try to organize things for us as opposed to when we organize things for ourselves. So they saw that gap and they're like, well, let's just do something. And so actually the organization that was that's known as Family Equality Council, they were really amazing, and they helped us kind of create our own project from their organization. And so we started as a project, and it really started also as a newsletter. So it was a newsletter of queer spawn coming together and writing, what was happening in the world and sharing that out with people that were interested. It was called Just for Us.
Cool. So this is exciting, and let's talk about Family Week. Now, this is right around the corner. And I'm kind of selfishly, I don't know if you looked into this at all or not, but I'm a little selfishly interested in this because now it's, I'm trans and I have kids, but it's, and while it's too late for us to, make plans to take off this year, I'm definitely going to look into this a little bit more. But so tell us all the things about Family Week.
Sure, I'd be happy to. So Family Week is actually the largest annual gathering of queer families in the world. So we have people coming from all over the world together in little old Provincetown, Massachusetts, which is amazing. So we take over the town for the week, and it's really just a beautiful, beautiful gathering of everyone. So we partner with Family Equality Council to create a week-long program, just tons of jam-packed stuff for your parents, for families, and then we actually run a summer camp that's for youth. So we have this year we have over 200 queer spawn coming together.
Oh, cool.
And we have a staff of about 30 that we work with.
So what sorts of things do you do during the program?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun stuff. I've been many, many times. Heather, I'd love to hear as a first timer last year what you thought and what you're
Yeah, absolutely. So I've attended Family Week both as an adult collager and on staff. And I had the amazing joy of working with the Sprouts last year, which is the youngest campers, and they're just getting started on their collage journey. And so we just have this amazing program. We work over the months leading up to Family Week to really develop an incredible week of workshops for the kids that really sort of bring them together, create a sense of strong community for them, while also sort of incorporating them into the collage family and really bringing them up as advocates for themselves in their lives. And a lot of them will talk about sort of challenges that they face sometimes in their hometowns and communities. And so this is really almost like a booster shot for them to bring them back to their communities and help them be advocates for themselves. And we end with this incredible talent show, and the kids get to showcase some of the work that they do and really create something that they're proud of. And, and I think it's something where you can see the kids, it really developing their self-esteem and their sense of really being able to own their identities and make sense of themselves in the world. It's a really powerful experience.
I want to go.
Sounds
I want to
fun.
go.
Where is it again?
Massachusetts?
Okay.
Yeah,
Right?
Provincetown. It's like the tip of
Yeah.
Cape Cod.
That's
you're right
on my
at the
list,
beach.
is to go to
It's so beautiful.
Massachusetts. So I love Massachusetts. It was beautiful.
Yeah, well, I think about so we have an 8-year-old son, and our daughter's turning 3 soon, and we live in an area that's pretty rural, pretty rednecky, and he's had to explain to kids in his class like why I have 2 mommies and what happened to my daddy and what being transgender is. Like, he's had to have those conversations last year?
Oh yeah,
started.
In second grade.
Yeah, second grade.
Yeah.
And
he does really well. I mean, I'm super
does.
proud of the things that he says, because I've been there and watched it go down, and it's just like, God, you're so smart.
Yeah.
And he's just very nice about it, but also he's only in second grade, and so we do worry about when he gets older, and kids tend to get mean. So
sure, and again, being in the rural area, like, there's not a support network for that, for people like that. So I think that's what I thought was awesome when I saw this. Like, yes, yes, let's do more of this. This is great. Because also, like, as parents, like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. They don't give you a manual to raise your kid. Like, I'm just doing the best I can, and all I can do is help him through, you know, the situations that I can help him through. But
Dan says it must be warm in the studio. Sarah's wearing lingerie.
Listen, it was almost, Dan, it was almost going to be a censor bar across the screen and topless night at the Sarah Talk studio. So I don't know whether you should be thankful or afraid. I don't know. Okay, so we did a series a while back where we had folks come on and just tell their coming out stories. And I think, you know, again, this is something that I think about with my own kids. Like, as difficult as it was for me to come to terms with being trans, you know, again, like my kids, they have to face these questions from their friends and stuff. So obviously, like, I think that's, you know, probably one of the key things that you're trying to do as a group. How are you supporting kids through those processes?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think, I mean, like it is for a lot of people, it's not just one time that you come out, it's a continual coming out process. So whether that's what we call culturally queer. So if you are a queer spawn, but you don't identify as queer, but you're culturally queer because you're raised in the community. So if you're dating, let's say, a cisgender person of the opposite sex, like you are dating someone and at some point you have to tell them that your parents are queer. So it's a continual coming out process. When you're at work, people ask about your parents or your mom and your dad, and you're like, oh no. So it's a continual process throughout our entire lives. But yeah, we practice that together at our camp. So it's really based on social justice as well. So we talk about our families and also consent, whether we want to share our story at a certain time, or we can also say no, and that's completely fine. So from a very young age, we talk about that and talk about sharing consent. And that it's completely up to every person to share their story if they're ready, but they also don't have to. So for one thing, for example, when I was younger, my brother and I, we grew up in the South. And so when I would work, like I worked for Chick-fil-A. Actually, that was my first job.
Oh, bless your heart.
Oh, wow.
And everyone would ask, oh, what does your dad do? What are your mom? I see your mom in here all the time. And I chose to just not come out for a while at work because I was just so scared. And what my brother and I learned to do is just you know, like use code. So we'd say mom when we were actually saying moms in our head. So we'd learn to just like kind of navigate those ways of coming out and not coming out. And so we work with the youth to prepare them for that and just to talk about what that's like, but also to connect them to each other, to talk about that together. Because it can be one thing for me to talk to them about that, but then another for them to hear it from their own peers and really talk and dig deep into that and find that connection. And one thing that I love to always hear is that after collage camp, like it doesn't stop there. Like the youth form text message groups, they form email groups, Facebook Messenger groups, Instagram groups, and they just talk all year round and talk about those hard times of like, I had to come out to this person today and it was really, really hard. And hearing that those youth are continually organizing to support each other throughout the year, I think is the main takeaway that like I love and like the why I do what I do.
Yeah, that peer support is huge. Like that's what we're missing.
Yeah,
you know,
sure,
like
absolutely.
That's definitely a thing that we don't have in this area.
It brings normalcy to it. I think like, oh, I'm not alone. I'm not the only kid who's going through something like this.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, and I think for me, just finding collage was a big piece for me in terms of that whole process. It took me a long time to come out to my closest friends about my family. It was about 10 years after my dad's transition or so when I told my first friend, and we were talking about it recently, and she was saying how she watched after that, how I gained courage just from telling her and, you know, having her be supportive and then going to tell more people. And I think with collage, you know, it was really the first space for me where I felt like people really saw this as something that was special and that didn't set me apart. Because I definitely had people early on when I would come out who would say something like, oh, but you seem so normal. And I was like, of course, what are you talking about? And so, you know, collage was a place where everyone just saw it as something that was really special and unique and wonderful. And, you know, and that was something that really changed things for me, you know. And I also like to think of it as coming out, but also letting people in, that it's a way of kind of choosing, you know, who you're letting in and who you're sort of bringing into that inner circle. And I think it's a real honor to bring someone in like that and say, okay, this is who my family is. And, you know, it's a great part of my life.
Awesome. So we talked about Family Week. What sort of ongoing programs are you doing?
Yeah, we're so we partner with different conferences, and so we'll go to conferences and run like a whole day camp or like a day workshop there. So for example, we just partnered with Rainbow Families in DC and worked with their family conference, which was a lot of fun. The DC Rainbow Family group is amazing, and so they have it every other year. So that's one of our partnerships that we have. And then we also went to Creating Change this past year and did, I think we had like 3 or 4 queer spawn workshops, which was really awesome and amazing. And we also partner with Philly Family Pride every year. So we do the Philly Family Pride conference. So while parents are, you know, in their workshops, we work with the youth in our workshops, and we have just a whole fun time together where we work with the different age groups, and whether that's, you know, doing just like a fun like improv dance like little workshop, and then going into like, let's talk about our stories, or let's talk about terminology so we can all speak the same language. It's really, really amazing and so much fun to like build those networks, because a lot of times when I go there, those kids don't necessarily know each other, or they've been in the same room but haven't really talked about it. So it's their time to really start building those networks where they are. And so I love doing that work nationally and going around and supporting those little pockets of queer spawn. As well as we do, you know, we go to the West Coast sometimes and do those. I know we had the other year, we had the first ever gathering of people with trans parents. So that was a lot of fun.
If I could make a suggestion, Orlando. We have Disney and I don't know how it goes. So you also have there's like yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, we have the regional chapters. So in New York, we have a pretty active chapter of adult collagers we have different gatherings that we'll organize over the course of the year. And there are different regional chapters that sort of pop up. So that could be Orlando too.
Let's do it.
Yeah. And it looked like when I looked on the website, it looked like you're really primed for growth. When I noticed some things like with the regions and the map and the way it's broken out, like it looks like you really have set it up for like maybe you're near the precipice of really launching into expanding this thing out, and I think that's awesome.
Thank you. We're very excited, and I think really the goal is to help as many people with queer parents as we can, and just connect us, because there's an estimated about 3 million of us. So, and right now we're only reaching a very small percentage of that. So the more people that know us, the better, so we can connect each other and support each other.
You do a youth leadership program too. How does that work?
We do, yes. We have a youth leadership track, and so it's kind of a more formal track of what's already been happening for over almost 30 years, which is amazing. So people grow up in our program at Family Week, and we have what's called the facilitator and training program. And so after they kind of graduate, so when they're 18 to 19 range, they have a time when we can really work with them individually and train them for an hour every day during the camp on like leadership skills and facilitation skills if they want to choose that. And we actually expanded that this year to include a second year FIT program where they get to do one-on-one shadowing with other people that are doing youth work. So whether it's the 7 and 8-year-old group, Sprouts, like Heather mentioned, or the STARS group, which is for 8 to 10-year-olds, they get to shadow someone and really see what it's like to work with youth hands-on and more in depth. So that's at Family Week. And then throughout the year, we also have ambassadors. So we're just launching that new program, which is for anyone who's interested in helping support collage, whether you're an LGBTQ parent or you're a queer spawn or collager, or just an ally. We have different ways you can plug in. So, for example, we just started the care team. So, the care team with the ambassador program are people that respond one-on-one to emails that we get. So, for the collage email, we get emails all the time that say, "Hey, my parent just came out and I don't know what to do. Like, can I talk to someone?" And so, the care team reply directly, and they work with them and they talk to them and they support them, which is really what our community needs. So, we have many different programs within the new ambassador program with the youth leadership track, and that's just one of those examples.
I really like how you're approaching this in a very kind of holistically philosophic way, where you really are addressing the entire family, right? Like with the programs that go side by side, for the parents can go to these sessions and the kids can go to these sessions. I think that's great. So, and I'm poking around the website. The website is collage.org, COLAGE.org. There's a ton of resources up there. What are some of the things that folks can find on the website?
Yeah, so we have created throughout our years different guides. So we have a DI guide for collages created through donor insemination. We also have a PTP guide, which actually I'll let Heather speak more to that in a minute, which is great. So it's for people with transparents. And then we have other like tips for, coming out to your kids, tips for coming out to your parents, tips for making GSAs in schools safer for youth and LGBTQ families. And then the New York City chapter, like Heather is mentioning, is amazing and have compiled a giant list of just resources, whether that's anthologies that include our stories or books that talk about like gender and expansion in our families. It is an amazing resource list that that group has curated and continue to add to. And then for the PTP guide, I'll let Heather take it away to talk more.
Yeah, so just speaking from the guide that's on there right now, for me, it was developed in 2008, that PTP guide. And for me, it was just such an incredible experience reading it. I wasn't alone. I felt like here were people speaking about my experience, and it was just so incredibly powerful. And this past year, Kaylee and I were talking about how, it's time for an update to that guide. It's time to sort of add some sections and expand it and really have it apply for this next generation of PTPs. And with this amazing synergy at the time, a UK publisher reached out to Collage and was saying, we would like, to do a handbook for kids with transparence.
Wow.
And so I developed a proposal, so drawing on some of the rich and wonderful, stories from the first guide and my own story. And they just offered a contract. So we're going to have an updated guide that will also be distributed by an international sort of base of publishing. So it's so exciting.
That's great.
Next level. Yeah.
That's so great. Now, all of these things that you do, all of these things that you're doing right now, obviously you want to, expand and reach as many people as possible. And we talked about that you're kind of primed to grow. What are some of the plans and hopes that you have for the future? What are some things that you want to do more of or do in more places?
Yeah, so updating our guides is definitely one of them. A lot of the times those guides were created almost 10 years ago, so it's definitely a different era, different time. We want to update those to support, the different collagers that are coming into their own right now. So Heather is part of that process. We're also working on a few other guides. And then when we're looking at our future, we're really looking to partner with more organizations that have a large reach as well. So yes, like you were saying, different organizations that can do work with the parents or that are already doing that work very well, that we can just really complement. So we're working to do more of that kind of work together to really support the whole family, as well as advocacy. So we're looking more into partnering with different organizations that are focusing on advocacy to support our families and secure our rights.
And to do all of those things, of course, that takes money. It takes funding. Now, Collage is a nonprofit. So talk a little bit about that. How can folks donate? Where the money goes? How it applies?
Yes, definitely. So people can go to collage, colage.org, and donate there. We have a donate button. And those funds go directly to our work. So currently, I'm actually the only full-time staff. So holding down the fort with an amazing team. We have some great part-time folks as well, and some amazing volunteers and ambassadors that really do this work because it means so much to them, and they're part of the community. So if people want to donate, please help support the creation of the update, different guides of things like that. So when they donate to Collage, that's exactly what it goes towards. It goes to Family Week and scholarships to make our programs more accessible for youth. It goes to supporting our community when they need us most. So, for example, at Family Week, we always are working to expand our scholarship program. So we see that Provincetown, and we acknowledge that Provincetown isn't accessible always for all the families. Not everyone can take off a full week to go up there from work or afford a whole week at Provincetown in one of the houses. So we're trying to work on expanding that program as well. And then, things like this, meeting on Zoom, having more virtual communities, and really supporting that work. So we do have online communities through Facebook, but we're thinking, what would that look like to have that, expanded? So with Facebook, you have to be 13 or older to join. So a lot of the youth that we work with write in with their parents via email, and their parents, want to respect that space because they're so supportive, and they're like, I want my kid to have this, but they don't have a Facebook yet, and I don't want them to have a Facebook.
Right.
And we, of course, want to respect their wishes, but we're looking continually to how do we expand to support all of our community.
Yeah. And when the social media technology thing changes every few years too, like you're probably struggling to keep up with, there's a new social media thing for kids now. Shit, we got to go figure out how to get onto that now.
I've seen it. There is a new thing where it's Kids Messenger, and I don't know if it's affiliated with Facebook or if it's a separate app,
Yeah,
but
it was
you
in
can
Facebook Messenger. Yeah.
you can actually, I believe, don't come for me if I'm wrong, but I think you can set it so that your kids can communicate with certain people that you approve.
Yeah.
So look into that.
I did see that.
I will look into that. Thank you. That is great. And yeah, we have actually a board of a youth action board. So we have youth that work with us year round that keep us up to date, because really we're biased and for us, and youth are at the forefront. So they should also be at the forefront of organizing and saying what we do. So they keep us young for sure.
All right, well, we're already a little over our half hour here, so we can kind of wrap up. We will put links to collage.org in the show notes of the episode, and if people want to get in touch, is that the best way to do it? To go to the website, fill out the contact form?
Yes, or they can email me. I mean, honestly, they can email me directly at Kaylee, Kaley, at collage.org.
Awesome. I'll give you each the last word. If there's anything we didn't cover that you wanted to make sure that we hit, I'll give you the last word. No. Okay. That's great. No,
I see smiles.
That's
a good thing.
That means we did our job well, is what that means.
I think the only thing is I would love to see pictures of your kids.
Oh,
Yes.
all right.
Yes. We protect them from the show. There's a great topic. So we kind of protect them on the show. We fuck up occasionally and accidentally say their names, and then I have to go back in and edit it. But for the most part, like, again, just not knowing people on the internet and not knowing who's watching and like we have a great group of people who listen all the time, and I feel like you build this trust but you still don't know people, and they're halfway on the other side of the planet.
Yeah.
But you just don't know what
You never know.
Yeah, you just don't know what people's intentions are. So we're very protective of them when it comes to the show. I mean, they come out to events and stuff with us, but
Yeah.
I'll shoot you something privately. They're adorable. If I do say so myself.
I know, right?
And come to Family Week. Come to
Yeah,
Family Week.
that's on. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
I think that'd be great.
Family Week.
When
And
does
I'll
that-
add one other quick note. One other quick note, just in terms of collage and just encouraging people to get involved. I think collage really fills a gap in conversations about the shape of families. And, we just need to keep widening the conversation and opening up that conversation as much as possible. So please, reach out to us and join the conversation. It's so important.
Yeah. So Family Week, you were saying that's
When
the
does
end of the month?
End of this month? Or
Yes, it is. It's exactly 1 week away. So
Oh, wow.
it is always
Okay.
the last weekend of July. Oops, sorry.
all right.
Last
So
July.
while I'm planning our summer vacation for
Yes,
next year, I
yes.
will look at Massachusetts.
Yes, exactly. All right, cool. Thank you both so much for coming on the show. We appreciate it, and we'd love to have you back anytime.
Thank you for having us. It was
Thank
such
you.
an honor.
Awesome. We'll be in touch, and keep up the great work.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Y'all too.
Alrighty. Okay, that was great.
That was cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
So that's Kaylee Fry, the National Program Director, and Heather Bryant with Collage. Again, collage.org, COLAGE.org, and you check them out. Let's do this. Let me line up a break here, and we'll. I should have been doing this, but I was paying attention to them. Okay. Let me line up a break here, and we will be back with some news. We've got. Oh my God, we have all kinds of religious privilege nonsense going on. Lots of religious privilege nonsense going on.
4 pages, 5 pages, 6 pages, something.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Yep. The very best story I've saved for last, though. You're gonna absolutely love it. It's
Okay.
fantastic.
I believe you.
You have every reason to believe me.
I don't doubt that.
Okay. Thanks for killing time for me to line the break up.
Yeah, you got it. I'll do whatever you need me to do. I do think that you need to edit crickets into the silence that was at the end of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you go back and do your editing, I think that would be really cool. Just saying.
None of these clips will play.
That's sad. I guess we don't get a break. Power through.
Now we get a break. I fixed it. Oh, all right. I'll tell you when I get back.
Oh, God.
Okay, stick around to break. I got some funny things to say. We'll be back after this. You're listening to Sarah Talk.
In today's health-conscious society, you have many beverage choices. But do you know what's in all of them? So much sugar, sodium, and things you can't even pronounce. Dihydrogen monoxide. What's that? Sometimes you wish you just had a simple, more elegant solution for your beverage needs. Introducing H2O, the first ever chemical-free thirst quencher. H2O is simple, simply composed of 3 portions of 2 elements, hydrogen and oxygen. H2O means chemical-free, unlike water, which is filled with all sorts of shit. When we tested H2O, we found traces of no other elements. So pure, the bottle may as well be fucking empty, with all the same nutritional content as a breath of cool mountain air. First widely featured on Goop.com, actress Gwyneth Paltrow revealed that she exclusively uses H2O for her vaginal steaming process. After all, why use water when you can steam it with H2O? So now we invite you to run out to your local garden hose and drink that shit. Remember, it's not water, it's H2O.
H2O bottled by Flint Bottling Company in Flint, Michigan. Product not actually endorsed by Goop or Gwyneth Paltrow. Please do not use H2O for vaginal steaming, or better yet, please do not steam your vagina. H2O is actually just water. Water is a set of molecular compounds. It's a chemical. Everything is a chemical.
Hi, we're the Goo Goo Dolls. We're fortunate that our daughters have what they need to grow and learn. But that isn't the case for nearly 13 million kids in the U.S. that struggle with hunger.
Childhood hunger is a heartbreaking reality that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste and provides it to families and children in need.
You can help kids in need in your community by visiting feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
I was feeling so alone.
I was going through a really difficult time.
I was embarrassed and a little scared.
I didn't want to bother anyone.
I didn't think they'd understand.
I thought it would just make things worse.
It was tough at first, but I did it.
It ended up taking a huge weight off my shoulders.
I feel a lot better.
I'm glad I asked for help.
I asked for help.
I asked for help.
I asked my aunt.
I asked my dad.
I asked my teacher.
I asked my mom.
I asked the Trevor Project.
Now, I feel like I can get through this.
I know that I am brave.
You can do this.
You can do this.
Ask for help.
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 Whatever it is, ask for help.
If you're thinking about suicide or need support, call the Trevor Lifeline at 1-866-488-7386. Trained counselors are there to help 24/7. Ask for help.
Hey everyone, this is Dan Hogan from Mesa, Arizona, and thanks for listening to Sarah Talk Podcast. You know, you're privileged to listen to the show. Not everyone gets to listen. I mean, the dead are not allowed to listen. They don't know what they're missing. You know why? Because they're dead. But if you're alive and listening, thanks, and enjoy the rest of the show.
Dan, I love you so
Hell
much.
yes, that was so good.
So good. The first time I heard that, it brought this huge smile to my face. And the second time I heard it, the smile was just as big. And the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, every time I've heard it, I love it. It's amazing.
Oh, that's so good. Thank you, Dan. If you too would like to record a bumper for us, you can do so. You can record it and email it to producer@SarahTalk.com. You can call 224-40-SARAH, 224-407-2724, and record it onto our voicemail. Or you can record it on your phone, like Victoria did. Victoria sent us a couple too, and I have to pay for the licensing on the music for one of them still, so I haven't done it yet. But hers is going to be hilarious
Victoria
too.
is amazing.
But that's what she did, I think. I think she recorded it on her phone and then sent the file over. So you
Whatever
have
works.
Lots of options. If you want to do that, that would be fun. We're gonna rotate them through. It's funny.
Can just interject.
Oh God.
Don't worry about it too much, as long as there's not like trucks blaring in the background. Sarah is the master editor. So as long as you're clear, and I think she can work with almost anything.
Almost anything. Right. Okay. So again. Thanks.
Okay. Russell.
Oh God. All right.
Russell. He says all that's missing is some music for his. Nobody else sent in anything with music. Just do a video.
I bet it a spit
or a
take.
video. Just do an audio clip. We can edit whatever we need to edit. Keep it simple, bro. Okay.
Word. So thanks again to Kaylee Fry, who is the National Program Director, and Heather Bryant with Collage. That was a lot of fun. And if I seemed out of sorts, it's because we changed all the shit in the room, and then we don't normally video with people.
Yeah.
Normally it's just audio, so it's like talking on the phone, and so that was weird. I was trying to, and I'm looking at two different people, and yeah.
Poor Sarah doesn't multitask very well.
No, I don't.
And then the air conditioner is broken.
It's a symptom of the ADHD. Okay. So let's talk about some news. This story comes from CNN. There's a transgender woman in Arizona who says that a pharmacist refused to fill her hormone prescription. All right, did you see this?
Yeah, I did.
So Hilda Hall went.
I would say that's Hildy, but
yeah,
but there's no I.
It's hard.
I don't know.
Hall went to her doctor back in April. And after the doctor, she went straight to the local CVS in Fountain Hills, Arizona. She said the pharmacist kept asking loudly in front of other customers, "Why were you given these prescriptions?" So, first, what are the rights of a pharmacist to deny?
I don't know what they are, but I'm going to tell you after seeing this, I'm going to be having a very interesting conversation. I'm sorry.
Be on camera.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
You're hiding behind the microphone.
I'm going to be having a very interesting conversation with our pharmacists. Plural. Yes, plural.
It is so hot. We don't even know what words mean anymore.
What is a sentence? Because they're great. They're really nice. And I've had several experiences at CVS. No doubt, where I feel that the pharmacists have gone over the line and beyond what they are supposed to do. If a doctor hands me a prescription and I go to get that prescription filled, your job as the pharmacist is to fill that prescription. The end.
Right.
That it should, like it doesn't matter. It shouldn't. I don't know. So yeah, I'm gonna have to talk to the girls over at my CVS that I go to inside of the Target, because
so
they weren't always CVS. CVS
yes,
took them over.
Right. I was gonna say that. So remember that CVS in Target is a new thing that they've just so they're the people that, because they were working there before it became
Yeah,
the
it was
CVS
like a
and
Target pharmacy, and
right.
then CVS bought them out.
Right. So they
But
they inherited some good employees and
yeah.
So I don't know. Can a pharmacist deny your prescription just because? And I can remember. I don't remember the details. You probably will. This is Sarah's memory.
Mm-hmm.
The problems that we have a CVS. Like
I could walk to
3
it,
blocks,
and I don't walk
3 blocks from here, and that's where we first went for for my prescription
when we moved into the new house, because we had all of our prescriptions at that Target because we lived close to there, and I was always at Target. And I thought, you know what, it's CVS now.
Right.
Because they had already taken over that Target pharmacy. So I thought, you know what, it's all in CVS. Let's just move everything to this one right by the house. That way, because Target is a 20-minute drive for us. That way I'm not driving 20 minutes there and then 20 minutes back just to get refills.
Right.
And then one time is all it took. Then I went right back to Target.
Yeah.
And now,
do you remember what happened?
It was you. I was getting your. I think you were.
I was picking
driving.
it up.
It was a drive-through.
Yeah.
You were driving, and it was just very. They were fine. It was like, oh hi, welcome to CVS. How can I help you? Whatever. But you could tell a very definitive change in the attitude the minute that they looked at it and assessed the situation and realized that you were getting hormone replacement or whatever it's called. And that you weren't a middle-aged woman who would normally, they immediately assessed, oh, this is a trans person, and just the demeanor changed. It was a very quick negative snapback, and I think what it was they weren't going to fill it, or it was going to take.
I don't remember.
I don't remember what
but it was. Anyway,
but it was
we
very
walked away
negative.
feeling.
Yeah.
We walked away feeling like, oh, that's because of the trans connection.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that was a cultural thing or not. Like, I don't want to stereotype pharmacists, but
like, I don't know if I mean, because I don't know. I hate to say that because there's people in this area that are in our same community. Like, you know what I mean? Like that. So I don't know that that's what it was. I think it was more about ignorance. And
so on aclu.org, Hall wrote a post to offer up more details. It says, when I asked for my doctor's prescription note back, after this exchange, he says, the pharmacist says, why are you why were you giving these prescriptions? He kept saying that over and over again. Why were you giving these prescriptions? Loudly in front of others in the store. When I asked for the note back, the pharmacist refused to give it back, so I was not even able to take it to another pharmacy to have my prescription filled, she said. I left the store feeling mortified. When I got home, I called my doctor's office to explain what happened. The office staff tried to intervene by calling the pharmacist, but he still refused to fill my prescriptions without ever explaining why. She tried calling the CVS customer care line a few times and got no resolution. Finally, the doctor had to call a prescription into a Walgreens instead in order for this girl to get her drugs. Now, all of that happened back in April, and we're talking about it now because Hall and CVS have kind of been in contact since. Hall filed a complaint with the Arizona State Board of Pharmacy. I didn't see any update on where that's gone, but CVS has now apologized, saying that the actions of the pharmacists don't reflect their values. And CVS, otherwise, has a perfect score with the Human Rights Campaign's Equality Index, or whatever it's called, corporate Equality Index. Yeah. So, and again, our experience at CVS, except for this one, we've had some mixed results, but has been fairly well. Right. So Dan says a pharmacist is well within his rights to deny sale of medicines, but there has to be proper rationale behind the denial.
Right.
Pharmacists can deny sale of narcotics if the time period for which these drugs have been prescribed is expired. The protection's pretty much in there unless the GOP gets its way.
The problem I have with this whole thing is
that your phone ringing?
Oh, is it?
I don't know if it was or not. We're waiting on the air conditioning guy to show up. Okay. Sorry I interrupted you. Go ahead.
The problem I have with this in general is we have 6 or 7 CVS's within, a few miles.
Yeah.
Okay. Our son for a long time has been on controlled medicines. We'll call them, for his conditions.
Right.
He takes 2 medicines. And it's one of those deals. Every time I need a refill, I have to go into the doctor's office, get the written prescription, take it to the pharmacy. And sometimes those prescriptions are out of stock at certain locations.
Yep.
Usually my girls at my Target CVS are really good about knowing the cycle and reordering it. But if they can't get it from the manufacturer, then it goes back stocked and we're waiting forever. So we had an instance a few months ago where I went in and they had the one, but they didn't have the second one. I had enough to get by for a couple of weeks. So I just told her to hang on to it, and see if it came in. And then a couple of weeks went and she called me. She says, it's not coming in, but this CVS over by the hospital closer to you has it in stock, and they can fill it for you. So I had to go out to Target, get the slip from her because she was hanging on to it, and then go to this other CVS. And I go through the drive-thru to pick up this drug. Now, all of our prescriptions have been in CVS for years, right? He looks up the file, and you can see, the pharmacist can see every prescription that has been filled for this person, right? So they look up my son's file. They go to pull the prescription, which they had filled. It was ready to go. And the pharmacist says to me, oh, is he still taking this other drug? And I said, yes. Oh, you can't take these 2 drugs together. And I'm like, he's been taking these 2 drugs together for over like a year and a half now. That's the way the doctor wrote the prescriptions.
Right.
I get them filled the same day every month together. No pharmacist has ever told me that. He says, well, I can't. This is, and he starts to give me an excuse that he can't fill this prescription. And I'm like, okay. I got irate. Yep. I was in the drive-thru and I was like, you know what? Then you can give me the paper back and I'll go somewhere where they will fill it, because the CVS at Target fills both of these drugs for me at the same time every time. Yep. The only reason I'm here is because they don't have it in stock. And so he finally gave it to me. But like, that's why I get so frustrated. So many times I've been in an experience where pharmacists feel like they are the doctor.
Right. Yes. That's exactly right.
Right.
This guy wrote the fucking prescription and handed it to me.
And took
my
the
doctor
took the blood test to make sure that it was okay to give said medication.
My doctor wrote this out for me. Oh my God. If anything, call the doctor's office and verify the prescription. That I can understand. You want to make sure that I'm not, fraudulently writing prescriptions and just getting, tons of drugs. That I understand. But fuck this shit.
But, like, I think it's very easy. You have this thing. You can look it up and you can say, oh, this person gets this prescription every 30 days with this prescription every 30 days. And there's a record there.
There's a history,
It's, it's not like I'm getting it every week. And they don't with the controlled substance. You can't even do that.
Right.
So...
let's move on.
Yeah.
I just realized something.
What is that?
So chime in the chat. I don't know how you like our new layout here. It's different being on the same side of the table.
Is it?
Yeah, it definitely is.
You don't
it's
like
different.
it when I bang
I'm
the
within
table.
striking distance. I think that's the.
Oh.
I think that's the problem. No, but I like that we're facing the camera, and I like that. I think that's great.
Come over here.
Hello.
And go,
Hey. As you'll see in a moment, ma'am, you do not have my consent. Okay.
Wait a minute. No, I have a marriage license, and I know better.
But A marriage license does not equal consent, kids. No, but look at the way I set this thing up, and we spent, I don't know what, 45 minutes earlier today.
God, it was so long.
Trying to get this Facebook chat thing to work over in the corner of the screen. And I'm here to tell you, it looks like we are selling shit on QVC. Does it not?
Oh, man.
All right, up next we have Bernie Sanders action figure.
Oh, my gosh.
And then I need a little thing that spins around and it'll slowly turn Bernie around.
I can make one of
Little
those out of
platform.
Legos. Spinning.
All right, that was it.
Oh, my gosh.
That was my joke. Okay, the next story. We've been talking about discrimination against the LGBTQ community. Blah, blah, blah.
Words much? Yeah.
Have another drink with
Just
me,
drinking
Jan.
a lot tonight because it's so hot
It's
in
so
here.
fucking hot. So discrimination against the community on the basis of religious belief. And I'm going to plan a show coming up, maybe in the next few weeks, where I'm going to print out the Project Blitz manifesto or whatever. And I want to go through it point by point because I really don't think that people are really understanding how organized that movement is, and how nefarious their plans really are. So I think that would be an interesting show to go in and break it down. Oh, poor Nan. Turn off the adult content filter. What's wrong with you?
You still have the Post-it note over the screen, or what? Is that your adult content folder?
Oh my God.
Yeah. Okay. Filter.
So-
Filter. I almost said folder. Go on.
Earlier this week, a federal judge rejected a claim from a Christian adoption and fostering service that their constitutional rights were being violated by being forced to follow an anti-discrimination law. Okay. And this lower court stuff is gonna play a big role here coming up because we're about to put Kavanaugh on the bench and then 1943 all over again.
Better get my
corset
out.
So the city of Philadelphia has a non-discrimination law in the books, and earlier this year, Catholic Social Services and
Killed
Bethany, oh poor Bernie, and Bethany Christian Services were caught refusing to place children with same-sex parents. Right? The city suspended their contracts until they agreed to comply. Bethany agreed, but Catholic Social Services filed a lawsuit claiming religious exemption because adoption isn't a public accommodation, which is what they say the law is about. Now, what the law actually says is employers, housing providers, businesses, providers of public accommodations, and city services. It's a little broader than public accommodation. But U.S. District Judge Patrice Tucker rejected that argument, ruling that the contract between Catholic Social Services and the city, right? So the city contracts Catholic Services to provide services for placement. That contract is to provide services in exchange for money, which makes it a public accommodation. Not to mention the contract itself has a non-discrimination clause. So now they're violating both the contract and city law. So in the end, Tucker ruled that this is public accommodation, that requiring them to follow city law does not constitute a substantial burden on their religious exercise of providing foster care. Well done. And then the judge goes further to take issue with another of Catholic Social Services practices. James Amato, their vice president, said in court that foster parents must present to them a clergy letter. From a religious minister, though it could be from any denomination. But he said that it was an absolute condition for foster parents to be religious in order to be certified by their agency. Why?
Does it specify which type of religious?
Nope. Just you
'Cause
gotta
I'm
be religious.
Religiously atheist.
No. We don't have clergy.
I can make a letterhead just as good as anybody. I have Microsoft Word. It's not that hard.
So Tucker says that the requirement to have somebody in the clergy write you a letter that says, yeah, I will vouch for these people that they come to my church or whatever, right? That requirement raises serious constitutional questions, the judge said, when it comes to non-religious foster parents and foster parents whose religions don't involve leaders who are willing to write letters. And that this requirement might also be in violation of another aspect of the non-discrimination ordinance, right? So to your point, if they're saying, oh, you brought a letter from the mosque and the imam wrote you a letter, that's not well, that's not what we meant. When we said religious, what we meant was,
and that's a violation of the freedom of religion.
Right.
Like, okay.
Right. It should come as little surprise that the Beckett Fund for Religious Liberty has already filed a notice of appeal.
I'm going to sue them because they used half of my name.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
The organization tweeted, at Beckett Law, I don't know why you'd want to follow them, but that's what it is. Several foster families and a foster agency will appeal a ruling by the Philadelphia District Court that allows a harmful new city policy to target religious foster care agencies and keeps foster children from loving homes. You know what keeps foster children from loving homes?
Bigots.
Refusing to place them with gay people
Bigots.
who provide loving homes.
Bigots.
The next story comes from the Freedom from Religion Foundation.
Ooh.
The FFRF has contacted the Melissa Independent School District in Texas after a concerned citizen notified them that the local church was giving away water bottles imprinted with the church logo and a Christian cross, of course, to students participating in their summer school program. Of course, this could send the message that the school is endorsing a particular church or a religious faith. FFRF has asked the district to investigate the water bottle distribution and any partnership between the summer school program and Melissa United Methodist Church to ensure that church representatives are not being granted access to proselytize students. Now, I included this not so much because it's news, because, I mean, it's like a press release, right? But this kind of thing happens all over the U.S., and you could be that concerned citizen. If you notice something that appears to be blurring the church-state line, especially when it comes to public schools, you can go to ffrf.org and send them a message. Now, of course, their resources aren't unlimited. They can only take on so many things, and they choose those very strategically. But they also have resources that can help you if you're wanting to go to the school board and file the complaint or speak to someone in the administration office about a problem that you're having. They offer some resources for that too at ffrf.org. Now again, like I will add, don't go doing that if you think your kid is going to receive backlash, right? There have been times in our kids' school that, that they did what was it, Thanksgiving? I got so worked up about. Yeah, we talked about that on the show. Yeah. So, but like, if you think that you're going to the office and you're like, this is bullshit, we shouldn't be doing this, and we're atheists and you're exposing my kid to whatever. If you think that that's going to get retaliation turned around on your kid, don't do that. There are better ways. And
even if you don't necessarily think that, really vet the outcome of that, because you just never know who you're going to run into in the offices, in the administration.
Yeah. Now, I wasn't sure if I should put this next story in the Florida Man segment or not. I didn't.
So is it the last story before the Florida Man?
No.
You should have done it that way.
Oh, whatever. 31-year-old Lakeland, Florida resident, Brian Kenyon Jr., who is a pastor at Deltona Church of Christ,
of course,
or was a pastor. He was arrested last week on charges of video voyeurism, and he attempted to take an upskirt picture of a woman in the congregation.
Guy. Yeah, I remember seeing that.
Yep. According to police, the victim, a 41-year-old woman, told a deputy the incident occurred when she attended Sunday service on April 8th. She said she was meeting with Kenyon in his office along with his children, and he asked her to put his youngest child into a car seat. Not sure why this was in the office, but maybe infant into a carrier car seat.
Maybe.
I'm
Who
not
knows?
sure. The victim said that when she bent over, she felt skin against her leg.
Oh,
Turned around and caught him in the act. Found Kenyon bent over directly behind her. Deputies said the victim noticed Pastor Kenyon was holding his cell phone and it had a red light on.
Oh, my God.
When she and other church members confronted him, he called it a misunderstanding and said he had a pornography problem. Okay, listen.
Wait a minute.
Having a porn addiction doesn't make you go take upskirt pictures of women at your church.
I mean, I
necessarily.
I can see it in some. It might lead. I don't know. I think it's more than a porn problem. You might have a porn problem also.
Right. Sure.
But
yes. I don't know. Like, I guess maybe that excuse was like telling your boss, like, oh, I'm late all the time because I have a problem with alcohol and I'm alcoholic and I got drunk last night. Right. If you think like, oh, maybe if I tell them something like that, they'll take pity on me and be like, oh, well, you have a problem. We'll pray for you. We'll help you. There are programs for people like you. You couldn't control yourself. The devil made you do it, or what? Some of the bullshit. Dan, I'm really trying to use this coaster tonight, but it is so fucking hot. My glass is drenched.
I need Dan to clarify his latest comments in the chat. He said Becca wants to be an associate producer. Now, we've established the air conditioner is broken and my brain isn't working, so I'm going to need you to explain that a little bit. Not what an associate producer is, maybe, but what made you think of that?
How you make that connection, right. All right, so 11 days later, right, so they confront this guy, and he's like, oh, I have a problem with porn. It was a misunderstanding. 11 days later, they confront him again. Deputies say the pastor had some sort of spiritual awakening.
Of course.
And confessed to the act, saying that a dark moment came over him.
Was a dark moment read by a red light on a camera that he
Yes.
happened to stick up a lady's skirt?
Yep. They say he claimed he deleted the photo.
If he has admitted that he has a porn addiction, I doubt very much.
No, take his phone. It's probably full of...
Yeah. No kidding.
He was released after posting $2,500 bail and has been dismissed from the church. When the story first broke, the church still had him listed on their website.
Oh,
and now he has been removed.
Well, there's at least some positiveness out of the whole story. What boggles my mind is that he would do that type of thing with no regard for, like, right in front of his kids.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously.
Yep.
It just...
Yep.
It's insane.
The next story is in the religion is harmful category.
Okay.
And I'm positive we talked about this when it happened. But it happens so fucking often I can't keep track. On March 5th... content warning, baby die.
Oh.
On March 5th, 2017, at around 8:45 p.m., the Oregon City, Oregon deputy medical examiner responded to a report of a dead newborn. Anybody want to guess? Anybody want to guess how this newborn died? You want to guess? Guess.
Ow. Where was it?
Oregon City, Oregon.
Was it because they decided to pray for it, over it, or some kind of religious ritual instead of get the child medical help when it was in crisis?
Of course. Faith. The child wasn't delivered in a hospital. She wasn't cared for by doctors or nurses. No, she was prayed over, and you can spell that either way.
Oh, man.
Sorry, I shouldn't do that while you were taking a drink. Sorry.
Oh, good thing it was tea and not like something carbonated. It did go into my nose.
Right. So she was prayed over by members of the Followers of Christ Church, a faith healing cult of around 1,000 members. We later learned that the baby, named Jennifer, as I tell you the details, you'll be like, oh yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Jennifer had been born around 2:55 p.m., but stopped breathing hours later and died around 7 p.m. She had been born prematurely at 32 weeks, weighing only 3 pounds 6 ounces.
Yeah, I remember this one.
Then the medical examiner found out there was a twin that had also been born. Upon inspecting Evelyn, the twin, he told the family that the baby was at medical risk and must go to the hospital. Twice he said this, and twice Sarah's father, the grandfather, Walter White, simply replied, "Thank you for your input."
God, these people.
The examiner described asking them questions, so he's in the room asking questions, only be given answers that were like stiff and forced, while the family all avoided eye contact with him. Last week, the parents, Sarah Mitchell, 25, and Travis Mitchell, 22, both pled guilty to criminal negligent homicide and criminal mistreatment. But the examiner had an idea of what he might be walking into that night. He knew. The Mitchells are the fifth set of parents from the Followers Church of Christ to face criminal charges after failing to take their child to a doctor in the past 9 years, including Sarah Mitchell's sister, Shannon Hickman, who in 2009 delivered a premature baby boy in the same room where this baby died. She and her husband were convicted of second-degree manslaughter. A former Followers of Christ Church member, Myrna Cunningham, told the Oregonian in 2017, quote, "They have their own graveyard, and it's just full of children." End of quote.
It's disgusting.
God doesn't heal. Praying doesn't heal. God's not real. Faith doesn't work. How many fucking babies do you have to put in your special fucking graveyard before you come to realize maybe this isn't an effective method?
I got nothing. I mean, you know, you want to have your God and you want to have your faith, and fine, have it. But understand that science is a thing too. And I
have questions too, because we talked about this before, where there's been sort of a neighborhood cult in my vicinity in my life. And it seems to me like if you got all these babies dying, right? I mean, it's possible to home birth a baby and
have a successful home
have,
birth.
have a successful home birth.
Absolutely. I know many people have done it.
Right. But here you have like all of these premature births.
Yeah.
I'm not saying there's incest going on.
Something's going on.
But I'm really curious to know if there's some incest going on.
And not only that, just the ignorance. I mean, did both of those babies die, or was it just the one? Or did it say?
Did not say about the second.
Because I guarantee you, if the one survived, even though mom and dad are in jail, you know the rest of the family is like, oh, see, God saved this one.
Yeah.
She's a gift.
Yep.
And
Answered prayers.
But what about all of the other babies in the graveyard?
Yep.
Like if God saved that one, what was wrong with all of the other ones?
Yep.
And who's going to answer for that? It's just such a stupid line of reasoning.
Okay. The best stories start with
Florida man.
All right, so this week we have a listener submission. This one comes from Sharon Frankel.
Hey, Sharon.
Lawyer and host of the Habeas Humor podcast. And she has also been, what is it, Smule, the music apps that you can sing and play music with. And she has been posting videos of her singing on
I'm
Smule.
really tempted to download that app just to play with it.
You should do it. Go for it.
I don't want to be judged.
Whatever.
By other people in the room.
You and Sharon could do a duet. So this comes from from WWSB in Sarasota. A 71-year-old Florida man died last week after consuming Vibrio vulnificus.
What?
Flesh-eating bacteria.
Oh my.
On an oyster at a local restaurant.
Oh.
The man ate the bad oyster on July 8th and died 2 days later from
Oh my
gastrointestinal
God.
illness. And you're probably wondering, why is this in the
That
Florida
is
man story?
not a good Florida man story.
Michael Drennan, Disease Intervention Services Program Manager for Florida Department of Health, Sarasota County, says Vibrio is a bacteria and it lives in salt water or brackish water, so any water that has salt in it, and it's there essentially all of the time. Oysters are bottom feeders that filter water, which is reason enough to not eat them, by the way. Let them do their job and filter the water. Mark Alton, executive chef at Fins and Sharkies, not the restaurant in question, said, "We are required by the state health department to post that warning on our menu for people to consume raw seafood and oysters." You've seen them, I'm sure. It's clearly stated on everybody's menu that there is a risk associated with that, particularly if you are elderly or have a reduced immune system.
It's clearly why I don't eat raw fish.
So let me just say, I was tempted to not use this story because the story of a guy that died. But I decided to include it to say a couple of things. One, public service announcement, beware of raw oysters, especially in Florida, I guess. And two, at the risk of losing part-time patron Chef Russell as a patron, if you eat raw oysters, you're a monster. You're a monster if you eat. Those are nasty. Why would you eat oysters? Oysters are disgusting.
I've never eaten a raw oyster. I don't know that I've ever eaten a cooked oyster either. I don't know.
Yes, Dan, thank you. I'm aware Habeas Humor has not put out an episode in a while. Yeah, she's, I guess she's lawyering more now than she's
It's okay.
humoring.
Sarah's probably about that far behind in all of her podcasts because she listens to so many, so she hasn't figured it out yet.
No,
I'm
I
kidding.
noticed that.
I'm kidding.
Okay, the second story. A video of a 31-year-old Florida man went viral this week, which showed a waitress slamming him into a wall after he grabbed her ass.
This was my favorite.
This is back to consent.
This was my favorite thing all week.
Surveillance camera footage from around 11 p.m. June 30th at Vinnie Van Gogo's in Savannah, Georgia, shows Florida man Ryan Cherwinski of Palm Bay, Florida, walk behind the waitress as she worked at an outdoor counter, grab her ass cheek, as he continues walking, the waitress whips around, grabs him, and slams him down. Cherwinski was charged with sexual battery. You go, girl.
Yeah.
Fucking get it.
The video was
You
awesome,
go.
by the way. We'll have to put a link in the show notes, but it was amazing.
Yes.
And this girl is my new hero.
It was great.
You
What do you got?
You got to read what my dad wrote about the oysters.
If they were still fetuses, it's moving on me. If they were still fetuses, Republicans might care, but once they are born, there is a reversal of the way they are treated. Yep.
Pretty much.
Pretty much.
Victoria says, cooked, yes, raw, no.
But we eat them because we eat everything.
I don't eat everything, Victoria. I don't eat it. No, there's a lot of things that I draw the line
plethora
at.
of things
Veal,
that I won't eat.
do it.
Oh, really? Veal's good.
No.
What's wrong with you?
Frog legs? No, won't do it. Goat eyeballs? Pretty much anything that the late Anthony Bourdain ate over in the other parts of the world. No, I can't stomach that.
Uh-huh. All right.
Are we voting on?
We are, but none of my clips are playing.
Oh, jeez.
See the bar bouncing back and forth.
Is that
It's like
why
the
you keep looking at me
wedding
awkwardly? Are you trying to get me to keep talking?
Yes, I
so
want
that
you to
can...
vamp.
All right. Well, I will vamp, vamp, vamp.
Okay, there we go. Okay, your choices tonight. If you eat raw oysters, you're a monster.
The coaster's lit up just by doing that, Dan. There you go, freebie.
Or this is no contest this week. Or literally the hero story we all needed right now.
Did it say what restaurant that was or where it was? Or I'm going to have to look into this and find out where that was because I want to go there and eat there and leave this girl a massive high five. And
it's Vinnie Van Gogo's in Savannah, Georgia.
Okay, so Savannah, Georgia is also on the vacation list.
Shit.
Maybe we can road trip back and forth.
Yeah. All right, this no contest, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Victoria's corrected her statement. She said, as a species, we eat everything. So she was generalizing. We probably
all
knew
eat.
that, but...
Yes. Okay, that was fun.
That was fun.
Hopefully the AC guy will be here soon.
I really hope he's here
It's
soon.
so
I hope he
damn
comes
hot.
before.
It's
before
actually
he
not
sees-
been bad in here with the
fan
with
blowing
the fan
on our
blowing under the
undersides.
table. Yes. So so let us know what you think of the.
Oh, speaking of the AC
there you
guy.
go. Go take the call. Let us know what you think of the new format here with the chat on the screen. If you like that, if you don't like it, if it causes a lag, let me know. And the scroll bar down at the bottom too may cause some lag. But I think it's neat, and if you like it, we'll keep it. I do like the new setup where we can sit next to each other. And all right, well, you're back. I was gonna wrap it, but
No.
that was quick.
Now we got good news.
That's the good
so
news.
when I called them at whatever time it was,
Yeah.
6 o'clock,
They
he
said 10 to 2.
Said 10 to 2. He had 4 people ahead of us. Somebody canceled. He's going to be here in 30 to 45 minutes.
Oh, hallelujah. Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Much better.
I have no idea what the hell we have planned for the next few weeks. I was going to look that up.
No.
Oh, no. Adam Burns is going to be here next week.
I was like,
Yeah.
wait, no, we do
No, I
have something
know.
next week. What are you talking
I do know
about?
what I'm doing.
He's not going to be here. He's going to be on the phone.
No, that would be so cool if
That
he
would
was
be
here,
really
though.
cool if we could get him here, but I don't really think that that's possible. We have to get a little bit bigger so that we can pay for airfare for people.
Right. Well, they're having the Pride 48 event in Nolans.
Yeah. I really want to go to that.
I do too.
That would be awesome. I need to find a sitter
Hey,
that will come.
can you have it in
stay-
Orlando next year? We'll
No.
talk to Adam. We'll go directly to the suits.
I would even go to Tampa.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Tampa
Like,
would be fine.
Tampa would be fine.
Tampa, St. Pete. Okay. That's it for this week's Sarah Talk. And what?
My dad says about the oysters again. He's eaten them both ways. Raw reminded him of phlegm, so cooked is preferred.
See, I was gonna make a comment about swallowing something.
Yeah,
But I resisted
Well, hey,
for the
it's the
most
same
part.
consistency, I guess.
Yes. Okay.
Oy.
So we want to thank everyone for tuning in on the Facebook Live. Thank you so much. It's been lovely to have you all in the chat. I want to thank our patrons at patreon.com/SarahTalk for
Yes.
patroning and being awesome. Thank you, Dan, for the pledge edit.
Yeah.
Very much appreciated. We have lost a pledge or two in the last few weeks, so that definitely helps make up the difference.
If you have not called in to give us a shout out, please do that. We really like hearing everybody calling in. And
Yeah, it's fun.
It was really cool.
Yeah.
So, yeah, keep it up. We're
Yep.
going to have some edited, probably. You just played the one this week?
Yeah, I'm going to play like one in each
Yeah.
break, so maybe one a week or two, depending on how long the show is.
Okay.
And then we'll just we'll
Just
cycle
rotate
them.
'em,
Yeah,
yeah.
we'll just rotate them around.
It's really, really cool. So,
Right. Cool. And that's 224-40-SARAH, 224-407-2724, producer at SarahTalk.com. You can text it to us. You can email it to us, whatever.
Yep.
All right. So that's going to do it. Again, next week we'll have Adam Burns. I got to figure out what we're going to talk about other than
Well,
Pride 48. And
he has a million stories, so you'll have to.
yeah, well, he's want to talk about conversion therapy.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that'll be really interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then with that, we'll wrap up the show here, and
We're going to go ice down.
Yep, we're gonna go stand in front of a fan naked, and you can spend the rest of the night thinking about that.
Oh, boy.
We'll see you next week. You've been listening to Sarah Talk.
Sarah Talk is made possible by listener support. Visit patreon.com/SarahTalk to become a patron and help keep this program going. Contact Sarah and Company by email at producer@sarahtalk.com or call 224-40-SARAH. That's 224-407-2724. And follow us on social media, facebook.com/SarahTalkRadio and on Twitter @SarahTalkRadio. Sarah Talk is a production of Sarah Austin Media.